We are recording.
Well, wonderful. Well, welcome everybody to the Hopkinton School Board's public hearing that we'll be conducting today for a proposed. Well, thanks, Steve, for a proposed appropriation from the Hopkinton School District Building Repair and Maintenance Trust Fund. So we have a full board with us here this evening. Norm Gupel, Rob Nato, Seth Aframe, Andrea Folsom, and we're joined by Steve Chamberlain, and I'm Jim O'Brien. And so on the screen is the public notice for this public hearing. I'll speak to it very briefly and then ask the superintendent to walk us through the proposal. So here we are today on Thursday, October 15th, 2020 at 5 o'clock. We're meeting remotely for this public hearing to get public input on withdrawing not more than $18,000 from the Hopkinton School District Building Repair and Maintenance Trust Fund for the installation of an ERV, which is an energy recovery ventilator unit at Harold Martin School. And so what we'll do is we'll ask Steve to walk us through the need for this appropriation, how it fits into the trust fund, and then if it'll be open to any members of the public who wish to provide any comments or ask questions on this action. And then we can move on from there. We'll close the public hearing portion and the board can discuss it. And then if we want to, we'll move with an action item on our following meeting. So with that, Steve, can I hand it over to you?
Sure, that's perfect, Jim. Thank you. So as part of our work with our associations, one of the questions that came up regarding COVID was measuring the air circulation in all the rooms in our buildings. And so we purchased an anemometer, and Noah went through all the buildings and measuring the air circulation. When he got to Harold Martin at the preschool room, there was a surprise to us all. And Bill's, been there 20 years. I've been around a little while. And they were surprised to find that we actually had a classroom in the Hopkinton School District without an air circulator. So once we found that deficit, we have, as Norm knows, we attend Monday meetings with our executive board of the building committee. We brought that deficit to the building committee just to rely on their expertise. And we very much appreciate Bonnet, Page and Stone, Barrett, and Doug Proctor at H.L. Turner, who took a look at it and as they made recommendations to the district on what's the best way to install in that room a device that would circulate the air. And they came up with the energy recovery ventilator. We do have ERVs in other places in the building. It's an isolated unit that is put in the ceiling, and it's actually piped to the outside. It is connected through controls. But we don't have, as you know, we've added on Harold quite a bit. So we don't have if it was a brand new school, we'd have a giant HVAC and we pipe it into a vent. But because it's an add-on school that we have individual units, which is very normal, by the way. That's not unusual for schools. So they looked, H.L. Turner engineers looked at it. We also, the NPI Northern Peabody is the firm that got the HVAC contract through the building project. So they looked at it with Bonnet, Page and Stone and came to us with the most cost-effective solution, and the best solution is an energy recovery ventilator. So we are asking to withdraw from the trust $18,000, which will be the purchase, installation, all the way through cleaning. And Bonnet, Page and Stone, which I really appreciate, will manage this sub-project, looking for about 2 to 3 weeks of time to get into the building and install the ERV and the thermostat. And once we have that room will be back operational. We really appreciate their support. We did talk about it at the executive meeting that this wasn't part of the scope of the building project. We have adults, we've got a lot of work on the priorities of that piece, and we believe this is really what the maintenance trust is designed for, unanticipated needs. And so though Bonnet, Page and Stone will manage it, the funding for this project will come from if the board approves, from the maintenance trust, and we will pay the bills associated with this outside of the facility project. But it's nice timing to have BPS on board, because they will manage it as part of their work. And that's what they say when we hire a project construction manager. they look at any project within the time frame they're within a district. So it's a nice add-on. We rely on their expertise. So the maintenance trust, if you remember, the board did some real positive pieces of maintenance trust last summer. For example, we took about $30,000 bleacher repair out of fund balance. So there is space, if you will, in our maintenance trust. If we withdraw this funds and the full 18 is used, we'll have $116,000 left in the maintenance trust, in the building maintenance trust. And we had talked about leaving, even though we have projects during the winter, self-insuring, and then deploying. If we get through the winter without any significant costs, we can deploy in the spring and keep going in that way. So it doesn't deplete our reserves too much. It gets our building operational. It relies on the expertise of BPS. We think the timing's right. We think the cost is right. And we're looking forward to getting, and Bill's looking forward with his team to getting the preschool room back up and running.
So before I open it up to the public, is there any questions from the board on this? Steve, just if you could reiterate, if we don't make this investment or this purchase, the status of the preschool room would be that it would remain not used for the remainder of the school year and maybe longer. Is that correct?
Right. We did try to build a temporary unit, and the noise for a classroom is a struggle. So we will use a temporary unit in some other areas of our school. But yes, at any time, but specifically during the time where we are with the pandemic, without air circulation, no one feels it's safe to have kids or faculty in a room without air circulation currently. So it won't be operational until we get this done.
Steve, just a quick question, and you may have said it and I may have missed it. Did BPS, will they bid the unit itself, or will they, is this a biddable thing, or what's the deal with
They
that?
actually, there is an action to waive the bid policy and use, because Northern Peabody won the bid. So the larger company has got the bid for the facility project, and so we're bringing that in. So we're very comfortable awarding it to the low bid from a much larger project, and we're leveraging the economy of scale that we've gained through Northern Peabody to implement this pretty quickly.
Great, thank you.
So, thank you, Rob. There is an action item to waive it and award the management to BPS using a real thorough bid process for Northern Peabody.
All right. Seeing no other questions, then I will just ask the public if anybody joining us has a question or comment on this item, that they just go down to the bottom of their screen and hit the raise hand button, and that alerts us that you have something to say. And so our first public comment is Candy Garvin. Good afternoon, Candy.
Hello, my friends.
How are you?
First of all, thank you. I don't know how you're keeping your sanity. I don't know. It probably helped that you weren't all sane to begin with. That being said, this is a great idea to have this air quality system. Is there any way to use COVID funds on that? And I say this because I'm watching WMUR, and they have said there are going to be more funds available. That's just my question. It sounds like a great idea. Funding might be able to be done through COVID costs or reimbursements, and then that money could be used for something else. How's that?
That's a great question, Candy. Thank you.
Thank you.
And I also saw the news earlier today that there was another release of COVID funds to school districts, so that's great. But Steve, maybe you're closer to this, and maybe I'll ask you.
No, it's a good question. This piece would be needed regardless of where we are in COVID. But we have talked about this as an executive committee, but we've already, if there is more funds coming, there's plenty of opportunity to use district expended funds with PPE, with sanitizers, with electrostatic sprayers. So there's not a shortage of opportunities to accept more money to pay for direct costs to COVID. So I don't think we'd be losing any opportunity, because there is we do have a long list of COVID related expenses ready if we get more funds, excluding of this one and far exceeding this one. So I think we're okay.
And Steve, can I just ask a follow-up? So we saw a news report. Has there been any direct communication with the district about the release of those funds? Just curious.
I haven't seen, I've seen some emails and some advocacy about per pupil expenditures relating to what we've tried to purchase through FEMA. So I've seen advocacy, but not anything beyond advocacy.
Candy, anything else?
Oh, I
No,
lost
I know
you.
that's an open question. I shouldn't have asked it that way. I apologize.
Oh, oh.
I'm teasing.
Am I still on? Can you hear me?
We sure can.
Oh. No, I just thought that if the money's there, why don't we use it? We pay taxes also to the federal government. I say go for it and we can use it someplace else.
Great, thank you.
Thank you. You're not used to be mean. You're not used to me being serious. Don't get used to it. Thank you.
Have a good one.
Bye.
I don't see any other hands raised, but I want to give anybody the opportunity who wishes to provide comment on this item. All right, so I'm going to close the public hearing on this item, and this is an action item during our next meeting. And so I don't know if anybody else has anything they want to add or suggest, and if not, we can break for the next 15 minutes and come back for the regular meeting. And Steve, is that the same link for our regular
It
meeting?
is. So I'm just going to stop recording and I'll leave this, I'll mute myself and this up, but we're going to leave this meeting running and then we'll come back in about 10 to 12, 15 minutes. Are we ready to go for the board meeting? Does that work? I don't want to end the meeting because I want to make sure it restarts. So
always good to make sure of that. Yeah, I think so. So we'll adjourn the public hearing and we'll come back into our normal business session at 5:30. Great, thanks everyone.
Thanks everybody. Appreciate your time.